video is one that I am very excited for because I'm going to be rating my five all-time favorite haunted houses or haunted attractions. I figured this would be the perfect Halloween story time, especially because I am not able to go to a haunted house this year because of COVID. Some of them are still happening, but it's just a decision that I made. I don't think it's worth going to one this year as much as I would love to. So instead, I'm going to take a walk down memory lane and talk about my 5 favorite haunted attractions. I'll talk about my favorite moments, give you an idea of what each location offers, and give you some pricing as well in case you're interested in the area. But because I'm from New York, these will be based on East Coast locations. But if you are not from here and you also love haunted houses and haunted attractions like I do, please let me know below where you go, where you want to go, anything like that. I'm always trying to learn more about where I can go. So, I think that covers intro stuff. I do just want to note that I am drinking a lovely herbal tea. It's hard to see based on the consistency of this cup, but it says Magic Brew, so I'll be drinking on that through this video. I made it myself, so I used some raw ginger, apples, elderberry syrup, what else, lemon, and some loose leaf passion fruit peach tea. So it's really good. Anyways, so yeah, let's just get right into it. I'm really excited. I have my list, and for those of you who don't know, I actually used to work in a haunted house for a few years, so if I seem particularly passionate about the subject, that's why. Okay, so we're gonna start backwards and work our way to the top of the list, and I'll throw in a few honorable mentions as well. Okay, starting with number 5. Number 5 is Dead North Farmland of Terror. This haunted attraction is located in Danville, Vermont, and it's just one big haunted corn maze. I went there last year. I think it was last year. It's definitely sort of in the middle of nowhere, but I'm always willing to make the trip for something like this. I just think it's worth it. Not everybody does, but I do. So yeah, this location, like I said, it's pretty much in the middle of nowhere and very small town vibes. You can tell there's a relatively small budget, so just generally not a lot going on, but I put it on this list because I was so impressed with it. I don't want to say I had low expectations, but I was really blown away with the quality of the attraction. So the corn maze itself, it wasn't just a corn maze. You would walk through and it would sort of open up into lots of other things like little houses and barns, places for you to walk through as sort of like supplementary haunts, which I thought was really cool. A lot of these larger attractions, they're like very much separate, right? So it's like there will be 5 or 6 different attractions, but you go through one, you stop, you get out, and then you go for the other one. And this was just one continuous attraction, and it took about 45 minutes at least to get through it. So I thought that was really impressive in and of itself, because I just feel like you don't know what to expect with that stuff. Sometimes you can go through really quickly and it can feel like a waste of money, but not the case here. And I just really, really loved the natural element of it all. Like, what made it so scary is because you were just out in the middle of the woods, pitch dark, and you were just in corn stalks. So the actors and the performers did a really good job of playing into that, so you couldn't see where they were, but you would hear them rustling the corn stalks, and you would hear footsteps, but because you're in this corn maze, you have no idea where it's coming from, and so your senses are just like really hyper focused on what you can hear because you can't see. So I just thought that was so cool, to be able to rely on that, just bare bones, the darkness, the being in the middle of the woods, the whole thing was really, really cool. I just thought it was so well done. I really did. And the performers were good when you did encounter them. There was a good amount of them, and yeah, I just felt like it was a really impressive thing. So this attraction is still going on for 2020, but I'm pretty sure all of the tickets are sold out at this point, and the prices were way higher because I think you had to reserve a time block and you could bring up to 10 people. So it was way more expensive because of the time that you're being reserved for. But typically it's about $20 a person, which I think is not that bad. That's based on my memory. I couldn't look back to see the exact price, but I think it was about 20. And yeah, so that's my number 5. Check it out. Again, it's called Dead North, the Farmland of Terror, located in Danville, Vermont. And like I said, it's just one big haunted corn maze, but honestly, in this case, less is more, and it was really, really wonderful, and I had a good time. I went with my mom. It was her first attraction, and she loved it. So hopefully we can go back one year. It's definitely worth the trip, but I will say there's not much else going on up in that area, but it's good to know. It's good to know. Okay, moving on. Okay, so next up we have number 4. Number 4, number 4, number 4, 4, 4, 4, 4. Number 4 on this list is Field of Screams, located in Mountville, Pennsylvania. Mountville, Pennsylvania. So this attraction is a lot different from the last one I talked about because there's just a lot more going on. The budget is definitely higher, and the production value is higher too. I'm not saying you need those things to have a good haunted house, but it's kind of like comparing apples to oranges. It's just a very different experience. Again, I'm not saying one is necessarily better than the other. These ratings are my own personal opinion, just based on a number of things. But yeah, just putting that out there. So when you visit Field of Screams, there are multiple separate attractions or haunts that you can peruse. You can choose to go through all of them. You could do one, you could do 2, however you want to do it. But when I go, I always do every one. I'm not sure why you wouldn't do it that way. Especially if you're making the trip, I feel like you would want to just get the full experience, but you do have the option. So the names of the haunts are the Haunted Hayride, the Den of Darkness, Frightmare Asylum, Nocturnal Wasteland. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. It's 4 different haunts for the price of $35 total. Again, I mean, I don't think that's bad. It depends on how important this stuff is to you, but I think that's a pretty good price. I've been to a lot of attractions that are more than that, some of which I'll talk about. So I think it's worth it because you spend quite a few hours there, and it's like a whole thing. So anyways, $35 for all of those haunts. And when I went, it was so much fun, obviously. It was the best way to describe it, if you've never been to one of these places, is that it's built out like a campus, like an outdoor campus, where there's entrances to different attractions, and along the way and in the middle and sort of sporadically scattered, you'll find like little vendors, food, Sometimes other little performances. It depends. I can't remember if there were performances at this one. I think there were, but it's been a few years since I've gone. But I remember the food being good, and it was just all decked out. Like, it was a very fun atmosphere. I think there were some like carnival games, and lots of like monsters roaming around trying to scare you. My favorite thing to do is to take pictures with these people, because I don't know, that's just a fun thing to do, as someone who used to be one of those people. So it's really like a whole experience, and I think my favorite part of this specific attraction was the haunted hayride, because it was so inventive. As you might imagine, I've been on quite a few hayrides, and I feel like you generally know what to expect with them, but this one was very different. So it started off as your typical hayride, but along the way, I want to say there were 3 or 4 different large barns that you would drive through on this tractor hayride thing. And as you entered into the barn, the doors on either side would slam shut. So the tractor would stop. You would be stuck inside a very dark barn. And suddenly lights would begin to flicker. You would hear loud music, and performers and actors would just like start running out from the woodworks, like they were just coming out from everywhere, and they were jumping up onto the why can't I think of what, like the hayride trailer thing. They were jumping up onto that. They had chainsaws, and honestly, my favorite part was getting like hit in the back with a chainsaw. Obviously, the chain was taken off of the chainsaw, so it wasn't dangerous. But they are able to touch you in this location, so keep that in mind. If that's something you're not into, they get close to you and they will touch you. Obviously not with all of the COVID stuff happening, but during a regular visit, they're gonna be like very up close and personal with you, which I love, because that stuff like freaks me out, you know. I want to be scared, and it's really hard to scare me with this stuff, so I really appreciate the commitment to the bit. So like getting sawed, I thought it was really cool. And like I said, there were 3 or 4 barns, each with a different theme, so you knew the same kind of thing was going to happen, but the performers would look different, the scenery and the setting would look different, and it would be a different kind of scare, if that makes sense. And then of course you had just your regular run-of-the-mill hayride in between those barns, which was still scary. It was still good quality, but I had just never seen something like that, and I really appreciated it. And then I can't remember if the haunt names were the same. Typically they'll change them out every few years, so I can't remember if the Den of Darkness is what I went through. I'm assuming it is, but it was like a typical haunted house. It was in a very, very, very old building, and that alone was scary. Like, it felt like walking through that thing was like a massive fire hazard, or like I was gonna give myself tetanus on a rusty nail, or like I was gonna get stuck because it was so small and claustrophobic in certain areas of it. And I'm not sure if that was intentional or just the integrity of the building because it was old. I don't know. I loved it, but again, keep that in mind. It might not be your thing. I think it was a 2 or 3-story house. It was pretty big, but it was very much a house, like a true house, haunted house. So you would start main level. I think you went down to the basement. You went up a floor. You went up into the attic. That's the part that was particularly dark and claustrophobic. You were crawling through a crawl space in the attic. And the performers were good. It was pretty typical, but what stood out to me was the creepiness of the building structure. Again, I don't know if that was intentional or not, but it got me. I was like, am I gonna fall through these floorboards? You do sign waivers, so if you do, that's on you. You're not getting any kind of payout for that. So yeah, that's Field of Screams in MOUNTVILLE, Pennsylvania. And like I said, it's $35 regularly. I think it's happening in 2020. I'm not going, but if you're ever interested, you can learn more about it. Okay, so that was number 4. Moving on to number 3. There's like 86 planes flying over my apartment right now. I swear, who's flying right now? Okay. Number 3, we have PENNHURST Asylum. PENNHURST Asylum, located in Spring City, Pennsylvania. Now, it was incredibly hard for me to rate these because I think they're all really good. And PENNHURST is absolutely one of my favorites. I could have easily put it at number 1, but it's sitting at number 3, and we'll go through and you'll hear why. But really, really well done. There are 3 main haunts or attractions. I know I'm using all of these words interchangeably, but I mean like 3 specific separate haunts in this one location. Sorry if I'm being confusing. So you have the OG PENNHURST Asylum, you have the morgue, and then you have containment. Those are the 3. It's $45 to do all 3. Again, similar to all the other ones, you can choose like if you want to do one or the other or all of them. Again, I'm always going to recommend doing all of them, but you have the option. So there's a lot that I love about PENNHURST Asylum. For one, it's an abandoned hospital complex, so the structure is authentic. A lot of the stuff that they use as props are like real old equipment. So it's really creepy. You're looking at real old creepy stuff. They do have obviously some wonderful props as well. It's very, very high budget, and you'll notice this one's a little bit more expensive. It's only 3 haunts, it's $45, but the quality it's truly top tier. The performance, the set, everything about it is really, really good and worth it, in my opinion. So yeah, I love that it's in this old authentic building, and they maintained so much of the integrity of that. They didn't have to like paint the walls, they didn't have to add in all this creepy stuff. Just walking through it empty, it will freak you out. So I appreciate that, of course. Let's see what else I have here. I took some notes. Yeah, again, it's high budget. There were a few moments when I visited, I think I visited twice, that really stood out to me. And again, it's all tying into this performance aspect, because that's what's really the most impressive to me. Now, you can get me easily with a jump scare, like there's no denying that, but it's cheap, you know what I mean? Like, anyone's gonna be afraid of that, and it's whatever. But if you can be like genuinely creepy and make me feel like actually uncomfortable and like skeeved out, and find a unique way to do that, I'm gonna be really impressed. I'm probably not gonna explain this using the correct terminology, but I was walking through the morgue, and it was this narrow sort of area where it had all of the slats that open and close, and that's where the bodies are. We were walking through there, and it was pretty dark, so I didn't get a full view of everything, and I didn't realize that towards the very bottom where my feet were, those slat metal sheet things had been taken out and people were hiding in them. And as I was walking by, someone grabbed my ankles. It was so good. I don't know, I was just so impressed. I was like, oh my god. Because you're just not expecting it. You expect it to come at you this way or from the side, but never do you expect someone to come at you from below and grab your ankles and stop you. Again, this is another touch-friendly attraction. Be mindful of that when you're looking if you're not into it. It should say either on the FAQ page or in someplace more obvious. Sometimes you can opt out of being touched and you'll wear like a lanyard or something. But yeah, that's uncomfortable for a lot of people. So again, I'm just gonna keep saying that. So yeah, I was really impressed by that because it got me. I wasn't expecting it. And usually when I get scared, I start laughing and I smile a lot because it's also a fun thing for me. So I was like bowing down to this performer because that was so good. It got me. There was also this part again where we were walking down a creepy hallway and the lights would flicker on and off, so it would go from being completely dark for about 3 or 4 seconds to completely white bright light. And so it wasn't like a flicker like this, it was like a very slow. So you were walking, and as you were walking, in parts you were walking in the dark, and then you would see the light, and that would give you an idea of where you have to go, and then again and again and again. It was a very long hallway. Again, it's like this old hospital complex, so it just keeps going. And as you're walking through the hallway, there are just 2 lines on either side of the walls with performers, monsters, whatever you want to call them, actors, who are just standing, their back against the wall, and they're covered in like all black cloaks, and they're looking down. You don't see them, and truthfully you don't know if they're real or not. Like, you can't tell. A lot of times it's easy to put like filler props in like that where it looks like people and it's not. But every time the light would flash off and flash back on again, the figures would close in a little bit more in the hallway. So as you're walking, you can't see half the time. And once you finally get your vision back, they're getting closer to you and closer to you and closer to you and closer to you. And finally, by the time you come out into this larger lobby-like area, they're circled now, and they're just closing in on you in this big circle. Oh my gosh, it was like some American horror story type stuff. It was so creepy and unsettling, and they didn't have to do anything. They didn't have to scream in your face. They didn't have to say like weird, stupid stuff to you. They didn't even have to take you by surprise. Like, just naturally being completely creepy, and you see it all happening around you, but nonetheless you're like, what is about to happen? They really built the suspense in like a genuine way. So that was another like totally top tier moment. I don't know how rigorous this like hiring process is or what it entails, but there were some performers that were also carrying like rats and stuff, live rats, which I imagine requires some kind of like special training. If it's like done at an ethical, high quality place like this, which again, PENNHURST Asylum's a really, really good attraction, so there's no doubt in my mind that they did this in an ethical way. Someone who's trained to handle like animals like that. And it was done in a way where it wasn't, from what I could tell, wasn't distressing. It wasn't in an area where there was lots of loud noises or lights or anything like that. Just sort of for the atmosphere, setting the scene, like this creepy character with her pet rat, you know. And I just thought that was really cool too. I don't see that a lot, probably for good reason, but again, I'm hoping it was done in a good way. just overall really impressive, really quality performances, and I highly recommend it. Again, PENNHURST Asylum in Spring City, Pennsylvania, $45 for 3 attractions. I think they're open. They're open in 2020, and will probably continue to be open. I think they also do tours and stuff like that. This is another place that has a pretty wide open campus. I think there's like gift shops, some food. It's not as big of a campus. I'm calling it a campus. It's not as big as some of the other attractions I've been to because it is sort of confined to a smaller courtyard space, and it's a more, what's the word I'm looking for? It's like a little more industrial over there. You're not in like a big open field, like you're between buildings, so, but anyways, number 3, it's great. Okay, moving on to number 2. We're getting through the list. Also, check it out. I have some tombstone earrings for the occasion. I have a whole bunch of different Halloween-themed earrings. I can't believe another plane is going by right now. I have Frankenstein. I have some pumpkins. I have a little witch's hat. I have some skulls. And I have some skeleton hands. They tinkle down. You've probably seen them. Anyways, not sure you care about that, but I'm letting you know anyway. Okay. Moving on to number 2. We have Terror Behind the Walls, also known as the Eastern State Penitentiary. Now, again, 2 and 3, very close calls, PENNHURST and Terror Behind the Walls. Very similar in quality, very high production value, very high budget, very good performances and performers. It was a tough call for sure. But this one has far more haunts within it, so there's a total of 6. You have the Machine Shop, Blood Yard, Breakout, Lockdown, Infirmary, and Quarantine. Ironically enough, quarantine, as we all know, is scary enough all on its own. But yeah, it's Terror Behind the Walls is not happening in 2020, so I couldn't get an updated price, but I'm assuming it's probably floating around $50 and up, maybe $55. I don't think it would be past $60, but because of the production value and because there's so much happening, I'm trying to remember what I spent on it when I went, but I'm assuming it's closer to the $50 to $60 range. But again, couldn't confirm because it's not happening in 2020, and they pretty much took the whole page down off their website. They're still doing nightly tours, which they typically do throughout the year, but that's all they're doing because of, for obvious reasons. So yeah, that's my best guess at a price. What I love about this, similar to PENNHURST, is that it's also this old, rundown, historic prison. So, in a similar way, you're walking through a structure that is authentic, and you see props in there, props that are not just props, but true to what used to be in there. You can walk through different cells and things. So it's not just all of these attractions. There's also an opportunity where you can explore through, I think, 1 or 2 of the buildings on your own, take pictures. Again, like I said, you can do the tours. And what's particularly interesting about this location, if I'm remembering correctly, and I think I am, you can opt in to become a part of the scene. So I think what they do is they give you a glow stick to wear around your neck, like a lanyard, and that lets the performers know that you're opting in to be a part of whatever they want to do. And when I was there, it meant that they would pull you into a cell and basically do this skit with you, or they would pull you onto like an emergency room bed and start like operating. And I just think that's so cool. And obviously, like, if that's not what you want to do, you don't opt into that. But it's just a fun way for the performers to engage and for people like me who want to take it to the next level. Because everybody comes in with a range of feeling towards it. Like, some people are really easily scared, some people aren't, some people just have fun with it. So it's for those kinds of people who are just like trying to have a really fun time. So yeah, I think that's a really cool way to go about it without like traumatizing someone that is not into it. And I think it's unique. I haven't seen that in other places. I'm sure it happens, but I just, in my range of experience. Yeah, so what else do I have to say about it? Yeah, there's just lots to see and do. Lots of food, some vendors, people walking around. Again, and again, I keep saying this, but it has such a high quality. It's so impressive. The performers are top notch. I would love to know what their hiring process is like and what they have to go through. Like, it felt pretty rigorous for what I had to do for my audition. And even still, like, these are like way better in my opinion. So yeah, really, really impressed. Really impressed. So again, that is Terror Behind the Walls, also known as the Eastern State Penitentiary. There is 6 different haunts for, I'm assuming, about $50 to $60. Again, in my opinion, it's worth it. But it's okay if that's not worth it for you. I'm not saying that's a lot of money. To me, that is a lot of money, but it's worth the investment for me. And again, it's not happening in 2020, but they are doing tours, and they'll be back up and running when they can. Okay, we finally made it to number 1 on this list. Number one. Because this was so hard for me to pick, but I felt like I had to go with this one because it's very near and dear to my heart. So, ringing us in at number 1, we have Nightmare New England, also known as Spooky World. Why it has 2 totally separate names, I don't know. They're used interchangeably. Nightmare New England, Spooky World. I don't know. 2 very different titles, but this is located in Litchfield, New Hampshire. And they are currently open for 2020. They have 4 different haunts called the Haunted Hayride, Brigham Manor, 3D Dream Escape, and The Colony. And for all of these things together, it's $40. Yeah. It's $40. I don't know why. I just totally paused right there. But I had to put this at number 1 for personal reasons because this was the first ever haunted attraction that I have ever been to. And it's just sentimental to me. I used to be absolutely horrified of stuff like this. Didn't want to go, couldn't drag me. But I was somewhat forced into going with a group of like 6 or 7 people that I worked with. This was like right after I started working for this like haunted attraction that I worked for. So like it was a rite of passage. I had to go and do like the real scary stuff. And I cried in the first haunt that I went into, which I think it was Brigham Manor was the first one I went into. I cried. But when I was done, I had so much fun, and I was just instantly hooked. And I was so glad that I went. I've been there a few times. And it's what really made my love for all of this stuff. So I will obviously always appreciate it for that. it's got good production value. I would say that PENNHURST and Terror Behind the Walls are slightly higher in terms of like performance ability, set, all that kind of stuff. Plus, you know, like I said, it's just like authentic structurally, which is really impressive to me. But it is a lot of fun. Spooky World / Nightmare New England. The campus area is huge. You're just in this big open field in New Hampshire, so everything is spaced out really well. You can spend all night there because they have lots of food and drink vendors, so like you can grab a beer, grab a wine, have like a full meal, like dinner type thing. It's kind of what you would expect at like a fair, carnival kind of thing, like that kind of like food. It's not like, you know, high class dinner, but it's good. You can also get snacks and stuff. They have a gift shop, if I remember correctly, and they have tons of actors walking around to scare you and to take pictures with you and stuff like that, which is really well done. That part was really well done too. And the attractions, the haunts themselves were really good. I've been with people who didn't think it was like super scary, but definitely fun and definitely worth it. I thought it was really scary when I went because it was the first one I'd ever been to, and I was with some like veterans who go like all the time. So for them, they were like, "Oh, this is great," but it's yeah, whatever. You know what I mean? But I think it's super worth it, and like I said, you can spend so much time there. So like, that's part of what I really love about it, is it's an experience. You're not just going to one haunted house, you're there for 30 minutes and you go home. Like, you can make a really fun night of it. You can choose when you go to these different haunts. Like, you don't have to bang them out all at once. You do one, you go get a snack, you do another one, you go eat, you do another one. I don't know, check out the gift shop or just go hang out in the grass or at a picnic table. Like, it's just, the whole feeling of it is just, I don't know, it's really fun. So that's why I have to pick it as my number one. They are currently open for 2020. This is the one I was slightly considering. I wanted to see what they were doing for COVID, like regulations and stuff. It seems like they're keeping really safe, but it's just not going to be the same experience because no one's going to be near you. You know, you're probably going to have to wait forever because you have to remain distance from everybody. You know, it's just not going to be the same. And even though it is like an all outdoor thing, I feel like there's risk with anything. There's risk with going to the grocery store. It's not an essential thing, as much as it pains me because I can't tell you how much I love this stuff. But if that's a thing that's worth it to you, it is open. It is big open field. There's lots of regulations for it, but you know, that's to your own discretion. So that's my number one. Like I said, all of these they could be number one in their own regard. They're all really good in my opinion for different reasons. You might agree with this list, you might disagree with it. Maybe you have no idea what the heck I'm talking about. That's fine too. But before I end this video, I do want to give three honorable mentions, just for fun. So I gotta give a shout out to Boo at the Zoo, which is a very family-friendly Halloween attraction at the Bronx Zoo in Bronx, New York. And I don't know, I've always loved the Bronx Zoo. They are AZA certified, which means that they follow a very rigorous set of standards. I know a lot of people have mixed feelings about zoos. I do too, for sure. But because the Bronx Zoo is AZA certified, they follow very specific, particular set of guidelines and rules. They treat their animals well, and they do a lot of like rehabilitation programs. Like the stuff that they do is in an effort to maintain populations, to increase populations, to preserve populations. It's not to just like take random animals, lock them up, and be done with it. Like, they are doing genuine conservation work, which is why I support them. They are part of the Wildlife Conservation Society, which is a nonprofit that goes towards exactly what it sounds like, wildlife conservation. So anyways, I have to just put that out there because, again, there's mixed feelings, and I get that, and I am the first to not support stuff that is, in an overall way, like, bad for animal populations. So just like putting that out there. But Boo at the Zoo is really cute. Pretty much any kind of fall harvest, Halloween attraction for kids you can think of happens there. Again, it's very family friendly, but I still love all that stuff. They do like pumpkin carving and pumpkin picking, and they have people who will like professionally carve the pumpkins and make these like really incredible designs. They have Halloween parades. They have like candy apples and ciders and like really good like fall type snacks and drinks and stuff. And they have a good programming list, like stuff throughout the day that you can do, like shows or attractions, things like that. They have like this cute little kid-friendly haunted house that I went through. It was fun. I do all this stuff for little kids. I don't care. So I recommend it if you're looking for a more wholesome, family-friendly experience. I think it's happening. I don't know. I'm not going, but just, you know, be aware for future. It's the same price as if you were just going to the zoo on a regular day. I think you can... I thought someone just revved up a chainsaw because of this conversation. But then I was like, wait, why is someone wielding a chainsaw in Brooklyn? It was definitely like a bike, like a motorized bike or something, but wouldn't that be cool if it was a chainsaw? It would just fit perfectly. Anyway, what was I saying? I was saying something. Oh yeah, I think you can pay extra for add-on stuff. Like, I'm sure the haunted house thing, I paid probably like $2 or $3 for extra. And, you know, not for nothing, the zoo is very expensive. General admission. It's free if you have a Wildlife Conservation Society membership. But if not, you're paying full price for it. So, again, to your discretion. But I think it's really cute and fun, and of course worth it. I also have to give a shout out to Six Flags Fright Fest, because that is just like an original haunted attraction. I will never say that it is. I don't want to be mean. I think the standard is just different. Like, there are places that just do it so incredibly well. And Fright Fest, I think, is a lot of fun. And you can, you know, Fright Fest happens at every Six Flags, so you can go to whichever you want. And it will probably vary based on where you go, but, you know, you gotta keep in mind that Six Flags is hiring like 16-year-olds, 17-year-olds. And while there is still rigorous training and stuff like that, you know, you can't, how should I put this? You just can't predict how every single hire is going to act and perform. You're gonna get people who are just not as into it or not as used to it, and they're just gonna scream in your face because they don't know what else to do. But you're also gonna get the really, really good committed theater kids that know exactly what they're doing, and they're gonna scare you. So I think it's just kind of a mixed bag. But anyways, I still love Fright Fest. I've been so many times. And I love it. I'm always gonna love it. But if you want to get really, 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 really scared, it's probably not going to do it for you. But if you're going to have a good time because you want to just enjoy being out, going to these different haunts, seeing different types of sets, and then of course being in a theme park where you can do literally anything else. There's there's going to be shows and performances. You can ride the rides, and you can get like spooky drinks and snacks. You know what I mean? Like, for that reason, it will always be like a personal favorite. But you know, in terms of like, you know, crazy scares, I don't quite get that when I go. But I do love it, and I would still always recommend it, especially if you do get easily scared and you're not as into that kind of thing, because that will be more geared towards you and families, depending on the age of the kids. There is daytime stuff for kids though, like trick-or-treat trails and shows, and stuff like that. And they do have monsters roaming around throughout the day. Less scary during the day, and then they get scary during the night. And that's another favorite part of mine, actually, is being able to just walk through the park and to see like how the different zones get decked out for Halloween, and who's working in them, and what they're doing, and what their props are, and what their sets are. I think that's really cool. I might be being a little harsh by not adding it to the top 5 list, but overall it is a really great experience that I would recommend. And then last on my list is the Headless Horseman, which is located in upstate New York. This is sort of a standard attraction, similar to the other ones I was talking about, but it didn't make the list, frankly, just because it didn't scare me at all. And it should have. Similar thing, there's a campus, there's like multiple haunts, and there's some cute stuff you can do in between. I think there was a magic show and like a crazy kind of carnival show where they just do weird stuff. So it was fun, but it was a long drive, and it wasn't scary at all to me. Very like low production value in terms of like performance. Maybe that's a little bit harsh. Again, it depends on your level, like it totally does. But I did have a fun time. Like, it was a nice experience. The atmosphere was nice. It was cute. But it didn't make the list because it didn't scare me at all. But again, it totally depends on what you're going for. You might need something that's lower key if you're just starting out, or you're just going to have like a wholesome fun time. Like, that's the kind of place you would go where it's like a more gentle hayride and a more gentle like walk through haunted house, and then you can have some snacks, watch a show, and just enjoy the atmosphere. That's why I wanted to give it an honorable mention, because I do think it's a nice experience, but you know, it just didn't make my top list, you know what I mean? I'm very picky though. So anyways, gotta be quiet with this mug. It's very heavy. Anyways, that covers it for my list. I'm gonna go through them one more time in case you missed any of them, just real quick. Number 5, we have Dead North, Farmland of Terror, located in Danville, Vermont. Number 4, we have Field of Screams, located in MOUNTVILLE, Pennsylvania. Number 3, we have PENNHURST Asylum, located in Spring City, Pennsylvania. Number 2, we have Terror Behind the Walls / Eastern State Penitentiary, located in, oh my god, I don't think I ever said where that was located. Sorry guys, that's in Philly. Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I can't believe I didn't even write it down, so I just forgot to say it. Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Number 1, we have Nightmare New England / Spooky World, located in Litchfield, New Hampshire. And then for our honorable mentions, we have Boo at the Zoo, located at the Bronx Zoo in New York. Six Flags Fright Fest, which is at literally any Six Flags. I'm pretty sure every single one. So your nearest Six Flags will have Fright Fest. And then Headless Horseman is located in upstate New York. I forgot to get the exact town, but it's somewhere upstate. You could easily find it. So thank you guys so much for watching. This has been a long video. I'm sorry if there's lots of cuts in it from weird background noises, but hopefully it was enjoyable. Please, please, please let me know where you've been, where you want to go. Give me some ideas for next year. It is my goal Nights, Haunted Horror Nights, what the heck is it called? It's the one at Universal. I've been wanting to go to that since I was younger, but you know, it's like you gotta take the plane, you gotta stay in a hotel, you gotta make it a whole thing, so haven't done it yet just for cost reasons, but I'm hoping to do that soon. I think that would be a lot of fun. Plus I get to venture out from the East Coast for something for once. But anyways, let me know below, and I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you are going to go to any haunted attractions this year, please, please, please be super, super safe. Like, super safe. Look up beforehand what all of the regulations are. Make that decision based on your comfort level. Make sure you're wearing a mask. Sanitize frequently. Maybe wear gloves. Like, it's cold anyway, depending on where you are. Make sure you opt for a place that's outdoors, where you're mostly going to be outside, where you can be away from people. Again, it's my personal decision to not do that this year. I don't think it's worth it, and I still think there is risk associated with it. There's risk in everything that we do today. But again, all of these places are open. They're complying with state regulations, so, you know, I'm not going to say, like, oh, that's horrible, that's terrible. They're clearly opening for a reason. But that's just my 2 cents, so just please be very careful if that is something you decide to do. And if you do